Okay, good morning everybody, and welcome back to another week of Tehillim. And we find ourselves still in Tehillim Lamed Daled number 34. And today, Be'ez Hashem, we will round off the study of Tehillim number 34. Many ideas that we've spoken about, we left off in a very famous pasuk, a very famous verse. And whoever's looking inside, we're in 34, pasuk Tezvav, which is 15. And it says the following: Sur meira ve'aseh toiv. A person should turn away from ra, from evil, ve'aseh toiv, and they should do good. Bakesh shalom, request or seek peace, ve'radfehu, and you should chase after it. So the pasuk over here is telling us that in order for a person to be able to do good, to embrace a life of goodness, they must learn how first to turn away from the evil, turn away from the bad that is there. And once that they turn away from the bad, then aseh tov, then they'll be able to do good. And after you're doing good, a person should look after, they should seek shalom, peace in this world. We'll see what peace means. V'radfehu, and they should chase after it. Says Rav Hirsch on these words. He says that it's not enough for a person merely not to do any evil. However, the Sur Meira means that a person has to keep away from all the evil that is there. Anything even that could lead a person to evil, a person has to shun and they have to avoid. And therefore it's very important, he writes, that a person does something noble in their life, and they make what's called gidarim and siyagim. They make fences for themselves. They make boundaries. They make boundaries and fences to remove themselves or to keep themselves away from those things which are going to be bad. And therefore he writes, you have to practice self-control by abstaining from that which, even though it might be permissible, nevertheless it borders upon the forbidden, or it could easily bring a person or cause them to go astray. And therefore, Sur Meira, turn away from evil, means anything that is associated even with bringing me towards a life of ra, of evil and making mistakes, a person has to be able to turn away from and to avoid at all costs. And all the more, and furthermore he writes, it says aseh toiv, and that means that you have to do good, and that you should not neglect any opportunity that you have to do good. Meaning it's not enough just to want to do good. Many of us want to do good. We want to be good people. We want to be better people. We'd like to change. We'd like to make our lives the best that we possibly can. We have that strong desire inside of us to do such a thing. But that itself, the desire alone, obviously is not enough. You have to be an aseh. You have to want to do good. You can't rest until you bring about the goodness that you are trying to accomplish. So Sur Meira, a person must turn away. Turn away from the evil means they have to turn away and distance themselves from anything that there might be that is going to even border and breach the sides of evil over here. And therefore he writes, you have to make gedarim and siyagim. You have to make fences in order to protect yourself from such a thing. I guess this would be similar to what we see going on in the world today as the right of the First Amendment, which is the right of speech, is being suppressed here in this world. So when you ask the people, well, how could you decide that you're going to take the president off of Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all the things? So they tell you, listen, we have to make gedarim for ourselves. We have to make fences for ourselves. This man is the epitome of evil. His actions are irrehensible, whatever the word is, irrehensible. His actions are horrible. What he does is a threat to the American people. It's a threat to the whole world. He's the devil himself. So we have no choice. Reprehensible. So we have no choice. We have to destroy everything that he has, any option that he has to be able to reach out to the world and spew forth his poison and his evil. We have to get rid of it. So it's Sur Meira. In their mind, he is the epitome of Ra. And therefore, what do? They make many fences, many boundaries over here to protect the world from his lethal poison of evilism that he has. Well, if that's one man, that's arguable. It is arguable whether or not he's as big, as evil and a threat as they would like to make him out to be. So then al-achas kama v'kama, the more so when things we can recognize are truly evil. They are truly bad. They are the antithesis of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to do in our lives. All the more so then, a person has to be willing to make the boundaries and the fences that are necessary to guard them from evil. Sur meira, turn away from the evil that is out there in this world. Make a fence, make a boundary, get it away. And anything that even smells of evil, it looks like it's evil. It appears a little bit, one shade or one form, looks like it's bad, says Rav Hirsch, get away from that, because once you get in, even you touch evil, you touch it a little bit, it can draw a person in very easily. And then, once that we are moving away, farther and farther from evil, it's that much easier to asay toiv, to do good. It's very hard to be an asay toiv, a person who is using their strengths to do the good when they are so immersed in evil. It's almost an impossibility. You cannot be entrenched in impurity. You cannot be entrenched in a world of bad, in a world of evil, in a world of darkness, and then have inside of you the same desire I want to do good, I want to be better, I want to be great, I want to help the world make it a better place. It's like a steer, it's an impossibility. It's like the person who says they want to go on a diet, but their fridge and their freezer and their pantry is stocked with nash, and all their favorite nash, what they love, the chocolate and the jujubes and the cookies and the cake and the pretzels and the chips and the dips and these nuts and those covered with chocolate and almond, all different things. How is that person then going to be able, in fact, to watch what they eat when the house is stocked with all of their favorite treats? So therefore, what do you have to do? You have to remove stuff out of the pantry. You have to get that ice cream cartons out of the freezer that you know is your favorite ice cream in the world. It's your comfort food. Whenever you need it, you just go back into that freezer and you pull it out and you eat it till your heart's delight. How can you be an asay toiv? How can you do good? How can you do what is right when all these things are inside in your house? So therefore, says Rav Hirsch, before you can do good, you must find a way in order to get rid of the bad that is there. Once that you're turning away from evil, you're turning away, then you're opened and you're wide and you are prepared and you are ready then to go and to be able to do the good that is waiting for you. That's the first part of this pasuk. And then he says over here at the end, it says, Bakesh shalom b'radfehu. A person they need to seek peace and they have to chase after it. And he writes over here the following. He says that as much as we need to pursue peace between ourselves and our fellow man, which is obviously something that is extremely important, maybe we should blast this pasuk out to the American nation right now, that they should know that peace is something that is very valuable. As we'll see in the Mefarshim, they point out, we don't find really by other mitzvahs where there's a command, radfehu, to chase after it. Peace is something that a person must be chasing after. However, at the same time that we are trying to establish peace with others, we're trying to keep the relationships peaceful and loving and respectful. At the same time, says Rav Hirsch, it can never come at the expense of sur meira v'yasei toiv. Just because you want to have a peaceful relationship with somebody else doesn't mean that you're allowed to get involved and entrenched in evil and in bad and stop doing good for the sake of making peace. Like the halacha is that yes, a person has an obligation in the world of kibbud av v'em to honor their father and their mother. But the Shulchan Aruch writes, if your father and your mother ask you to do something which is against the laws of the Torah, if they ask you to be involved in something that you know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to be happy with, then you have no obligation at all to listen to your parents. On the other hand, you disobey what they said because they're wrong and Hashem and His Torah are right. So that means that your parents might be upset. They might get disappointed, they might get frustrated, they might argue with you, they might yell at you, they might cry. Who knows what they're going to do? Nevertheless, the peace that you would like to create with them is not real peace, because if it comes at the expense of our mitzvahs and our Torah and our connection to Hashem, that is not something that we are to pursue. And therefore, Shalom, he writes, it's by no means to be one supreme goal which everything else must be cast aside, which is the fallacy of the peace in the Middle East and everything. Who knows what damages Klal Yisrael incurs from trying to make peace with well-known terrorists? Who knows how Klal Yisrael is damaged as a result? There is peace that is true peace, and there is peace that is impossibility. We may sacrifice, indeed we should sacrifice for the sake of peace. That's true. Sometimes you have to push yourself, you have to be maver al midaisav, you have to overlook the injustice that somebody did to you, you have to overlook the wrong that is there. We have no choice. That's the way that a Yid, that's the way that a Jew behaves. Nevertheless, we're not allowed to give away the sor meirah, the asay toiv, for the sake of peace. So meaning our personal interest, we can give them away. Personal advantage that we'll get, we can give it away. Our own claims, our covet, our own honor, we'll give it away. We'll make peace. This person upset me. They disappointed me. They hurt my feelings. You know what? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'll overlook in order for the sake of making peace. However, says Rav Hirsch, but the peace relations with our fellow man that we are trying to establish over here, as desirable as they're going to be, it can never atone for any discord that we might have with Hashem. Which means I don't give up my relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the sake of making peace with somebody else. When making peace with somebody else means that I'm going to violate what it says inside the Torah. I'm going to violate what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from me. I'm going to be remiss on the obligations that I have in mitzvahs and the like, because I want to make sure that this person is happy and peace is being made. There, says Rav Hirsch, the pasuk is not saying that. When am I have to seek peace and chase after it? That's when it's up to me, and I can give up anything that I want, and it's not a blemish in my relationship with Hashem. On the other hand, when a person is a maver al midaisav, they overlook the pain or the injustice that was done to them. They become greater and closer to Hashem as a result of that. When they see two people that are fighting and are arguing with each other, and you go over and you're able to create the peace between the two of them, and again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His mitzvahs are not losing out at all, that's noble of a person. But if the only way to make peace is by giving up what is the right thing, then that's not peace. That peace means shleimus, means completion, wholeness, totality. That's not total. That's not whole. If a person really has holes with an H in their relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then there's nothing peaceful about that as all. So he writes over here that whenever it's a matter of sor meirah v'asei toiv, whenever it's turn away from evil and do that's good, we have to be ready if necessary, even if there's going to be hostility, if the entire world is going to be against us. But if we know that what we're doing is the Ratzon Hashem, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants for us, even if there's enemies, even if people don't like us, even if there are things that we have to forego, for the peace is not going to be made, but we know that that's what Hashem wants, that's what a person has to do in such a case. Meaning, chasing after peace is not a carte blanche to throw Yiddishkeit out the window. Chasing after peace is not an excuse for a person to do something that is going to be displeasing in the eyes of Hashem. Chasing after peace is when it's the right thing to do. And therefore, once that you clear up the sor meirah v'asei toiv, you move away from evil and you do that which is good, and then you see that there are relations that need to be fixed up, that's the radfehu, that's the chasing after that a person's going to do. So Rav Gamliel Rabinovich writes on this pasuk the following. He says like this, if you look in the Metzudas Dovid, he writes, chase after peace, or seek peace. Have a desire to go and to make peace between people. You should chase after peace very much. From this pasuk, he says, we learn the tremendous obligation that we have to create peace between one fellow and his other. There's an obligation that the pasuk is telling us we have to actually chase after peace. We don't find this by other mitzvahs. It doesn't say chase after kashrus, chase after your tefillin in the morning, chase after a minyan. It doesn't say that. But when it comes to making peace between one fellow and one person and another, Dovid HaMelech says, chase after it. Don't let up. And that's what he's saying over here. And he quotes many verses over here that shows that it's only here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it special that we have such an obligation. What's the reason? Why is it that peace is something that is so above and beyond the other mitzvahs? Peace is not something that's very simple. Like we see. Who does not see with their own eyes today how unsimple peace is? We're living in a world where there's probably never been more dissension and rivalry and hatred and anger and all of the above as we see going on right now here. And whatever the future is going to bring in America, which is being motivated by so much anger and so much hatred and so much division and derision, it's really hard to know the good that is going to come out from all of this. Because peace, he's saying, is something that is not an easy thing to attain and acquire. Sheyesh anashim hamuchanim liriv, people are prepared to fight. Im zulasam al inyani mamain, they'll fight with people over money, al kavod meduma, or they'll fight over what they imagine to be honor and respect. Ushar devarim katne erech, and other small petty little things. A person is ready to go to war as a result of it. As we saw last week, the political commentators of the world were pointing out that the advent of impeachment is something that has been reserved for very, very difficult situations, and there's always been a long period in which they went through the trial, they tried the case, the president had a chance to defend himself, the lawyers came in. 21, 22 days was the minimum trial of impeachment. Last week, it took 8 hours to impeach the President of the United States for his second time. I don't want to get into politics. All that we want to see, all that we're proving out over here is that people are willing to jump into the fight, and they are willing to chase away any vestige of peace, unifying the country. How does that? Okay, whatever, I'm not going to say anymore. Now, the Kidyu, Machlekes Rabbis, Yisrael, there are many machlekesin, many arguments and fights that took place amongst Klal Yisrael. Nigramu midimyonis shav, and the reason that they took place is because people have these illusions in their mind. Oh, he took my honor, he took my respect. This person over here, they took my money. I want more money. I want this. I want that. It's foolish things, illusionary things that are not important. Therefore, he writes, a person really needs to be chasing after peace with all of their strength as much as they possibly can, because it's elusive. The Maral writes that it makes sense to be that way because we live in a world where there are so many opposites. The creation itself has so many opposites. There's water, there is fire, there is land, there is sky. There are fish that are swimming, there are birds that are flying. There are so many different components in a person's body, in the world. There's the moon, there's the sun. There's so many divergent things, so many opposite things that are taking place in this world. So the Maral says the nature of the world itself is built in such a way it lends itself to machlekes, to division, and to arguments and fighting. So in order to make shalom, to make peace, obviously, a person is going to have to work very, very hard to be able to accomplish and to achieve that. Says the psukim for that. I'm skipping a little bit, and the pasuk says like this. I'm skipping to the pasuk of 18. Tza'aku v'Hashem shameya. If they will cry out, Hashem will hear. Umikol tzaraisam hitzilam. And from all of their tsars, all of their troubles, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to deliver them. Says Rav Hirsch on this, he says, even people that do ra, that do the wrong thing, even people that are involved in things that are not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, nevertheless, as they see what's going on around them and they see the yisurim, sometimes the suffering piling up, it humbles them to return their heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when that happens, he says that the verse says that even if those people will cry out, that means anybody who will break his obstinacy, he'll break his hardiness, his gaiva, his belief so much in himself and not in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he humbles his heart, even HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to listen to them. It doesn't mean that Hashem is only going to listen to tzaddikim, to the righteous. It doesn't mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is only going to hear what the more seasoned veterans of Yiddishkeit have to say. Even a person that is struggling, even a person who is making mistakes, even a person that they know that they did the wrong thing, but if they begin to humble themselves, as the next pasuk says, Korov Hashem lenishbrei leiv. Hashem is close to those with the broken heart. V'yazdake ruach yeshia. And those who are broken of spirit, the crushed of spirit, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will save. And that's what we're saying over here. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what's going on, whether you're a tzaddik or you're not a tzaddik, whether you are in tune with Hashem or not in tune with Hashem, whether you're doing the right things, you're not doing the right things, HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks for the broken heart. He looks for the crushed spirit. And a person who lives like that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu then listens to their prayers. Like the Malbim writes over here, Korov, Gam Hashem Oimid Korov. Hashem will stand close. Lenishbrei leiv, to those that are broken in heart. Al Yedei Tzorosehem. Someone whose heart is broken because of the tsaros, because of the difficulties they have. V'yazdaki ruach, and their spirit is crushed. Sharuach hapenimi nidka. The inner spirit that they have is crushed. Al Yedei Tzuka penimius, through the pain that is on the inside. Oy al yedei avanoi, somewhere because of the sins that they have committed, the person is feeling crushed and low. When that person will call out to Hashem, and that person will end up saying their voice, that Hashem should hear what they have to say, you should know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is ready and able to listen at any time. Says the pasuk, Rabbis ra'is tzaddik, there are many bad things that will befall the tzaddik, umikulam yatzilenu Hashem, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to rescue them from every single one. And the next verse, then we'll go back and explain, Shomer kol atzmaisav, HaKadosh Baruch Hu guards all of the bones of the righteous, achas me'ena lo nishbara, even one of those bones of this righteous person is not going to be broken. So says the Radak on these words. The Radak writes the following. I want to just go back one thing from the last pasuk about Hashem is close to those that are. Oh no, it's on this pasuk. Never mind. The Radak says like this: Rabbis, there are many rabbis, there are many bad things that will befall a tzaddik. Why? A person's a tzaddik. A person does so many wonderful things. A person finds favor in the eyes of Hashem. Why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do so many terrible things to them? Pa'amim rabbis, many times. Yinaseh akel es hatzadik l'toivasai. Many times HaKadosh Baruch Hu will test a righteous person for his benefit, for the benefit of the righteous man. Ulaharois tzidkasai libnei adam. And one of the benefits is that he shows off the tzidkus, he reveals the righteousness of this person to others. Ki lo yita miderech ha'emes, because this righteous man will not turn or tilt from the path of truth, mimnei atzara, because of the tzar, because of the pain that he's going through. Umikulam yatzilenu, and for everything that he goes through, he will be saved. Shelo yikashel biachas mem, he will not stumble into any of the suffering that he's going through. Says the Radak that a person who sees themselves going through suffering, not that we are tzaddikim, but we have to look at it in the following way, and that is that perhaps the reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is testing me right now is to show off that even though that I'm going through all of these struggles, even though I have these challenges in my life right now, things are not as easy as I would like them to be, but I'm not going to waver in my emunah. I'm not going to veer from my path of avodas Hashem to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the right way. And therefore, as a result of that, says the Radak, it's going to show to other people, look what a person could accomplish when they maintain the force of emunah inside of them. Look how a person can grow, how a person can cling to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how they cannot be knocked over through the yisurim, through the suffering that they're going through, as long as they remain dedicated and steadfast in their belief, in their trust, and their understanding that everything that's happening to them in their lives is coming from Hashem. The Mitzudas Dovid writes on these words, V'af im yovel al tzaddik rois rabbis, even if a tzaddik has many terrible things that befall him, ein tochalasai ne'evda, his hope in Hashem is never lost. Ki mikulam, because from everything that he will go through, yatzilenu Hashem, he knows and he believes and he trusts that Hashem is going to save him and Hashem is going to rescue him. Which means that the level of tzidkus, of righteousness that we are describing over here, is somebody that although they will go through harsh times, although they will face difficulties, although things will pile up and stack up against them and it's not going to be easy, there's not a second where a person has a lapse of reasoning and they stop hoping in Hashem that everything is going to turn out for the best. That's tzidkus, that is righteousness. When a person can be so secure in their emunah, in their faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they can be so secure in everything that's going on around them, has a rhyme and a reason. Hashem knows exactly what it is that He's doing. And therefore, even though there's other people in this situation, when they would see things happening, they would probably begin to waver in their hope that they have that Hashem is going to take care of things. The righteous person, they never waver, they never stumble, they never weaken, there's never a lapse at all. They continue to have techeles, they continue to have tremendous hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ki mikulam yatzilenu Hashem, that He's going to save me and rescue me from everything. And that's an outlook that a person can have when they're going through nisyonos, not to let the hardships of life overwhelm them. Rather, instead of overwhelming, it's an opportunity to strengthen ourselves in our emunah, to strengthen ourselves in our trust in Hashem, to strengthen ourselves that we are people, that we are living example of the techeles, of the hope that is thriving inside of our neshamas, that we truly believe no matter what's going to happen, Kulam yatzilenu Hashem, He's going to save us from everything. And a person who believes like that and understands like that, so then they're not going to be crushed. I feel like it says over here in the pasuk, even achas mein, even one of his bones, lo nishbar, is not going to be broken because he put his faith and his trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says Rav Hirsch on these verses over here, Chaf and Chaf Aleph. He says that although we know that a person who lives a life of tzidkus, of righteousness, is promised that he's going to have a beautiful world waiting for him. She'll have a beautiful chelik portion in Olam Haba, the world to come, that's going to be waiting. It's going to be in exact commensuration with everything that she put into her life here in this world. Nevertheless, a person should not think that in this world that we're going to be free of suffering. And then he writes, on the contrary, the tzaddik must expect a great many troubles and calamities. Why? Why should you expect tragedies and calamities? Why would you want to be a righteous person? Why? He writes, because the necessity of the human and social conditions in the midst of which we live, and in which tzedek, which is the righteous and ethical midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, has a very hard time to reign supreme in this world. And therefore, the task of the tzaddik, in his loyalty to duty, to prove that he is sufficiently strong, even in the midst of calamity, is, again, as he's coming back to the previous verses, since that my mission in this world is to sor meirav ve'aseh tov, turn away from the bad and do the good. And that's what my life is all about. That means that even when there are hardships that are befalling me, and there's calamity around me, and doing good demands great sacrifices, and evil sometimes seems to be much more promising and have good fortune in front of me, and all the earthly pleasures that come along with it. The righteous man is often stricken by affliction, but the sufferings he must experience are not to destroy the person, only to test and to ennoble his spirit, and therefore Mikulam Yatzilenu Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will rescue them from everything. Which means, since that our goal in this world is asur meirah, to turn away from evil, v'asei tov, and do good, HaKadosh Baruch Hu throws tests in the way that makes it very, very hard to turn away from evil, because it looks so luring, it looks so pleasureful, it looks so easy. The bad is always easier than the good, that's for sure. It's always easier to do the wrong thing than it is to do the right thing. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to make it even harder over here, and therefore you're going to be required to pull out even more mesiras nefesh, more sacrifice in your life, in order to be able to do what is right be'enei Hashem, in the eyes of Hashem. So a tzaddik, a person striving for righteousness in this world, should not despair when they see that it's not so easy to turn away from evil and to go and do good. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that during that time that you're going through the struggles, prove your loyalty to Hashem. Similar to what we saw in the Radak, that other people are going to be watching you, and they're going to see through your actions and through your efforts, it's revealed, it is revealed just how incredible and how amazing your amunah and your trust and everything is. And therefore says the pasuk over here, that a righteous person should expect difficulties, they should expect hardships. Now you're all probably thinking you're much more righteous than you realize that you were. It's also a compliment, as Rav Hirsch said earlier on in Tehillim. It's a compliment when you see yourself being tested by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because he says you could handle it. You could handle, nobody else could. So therefore the sufferings that the tzaddikim will go through, it's not that they bring him to death or destruction, chas v'chalila, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu never allows the calamities or the difficulties to overtake the righteous person over here. Even one bone is not going to be broken, meaning that even one of the etzim, of the essence of who this person is, which is really the well springs of his emunah, is not right. Atzmais could mean bones. It could also mean atzmais, my essence, and therefore the essence of the person is not going to be broken by these calamities. On the other hand, it should really be just the opposite. The fact that a person goes through troubles in his life and struggles in his life, that on the other, it accentuates the atzmos, the essence of who the person is. The values of the righteous man, and therefore he will not be broken. And these values of the righteous man bears with himself, which suffering cannot reach, from without will keep him upright in the midst of all of his troubles. Meaning, there's so much energy inside of a person. There's so much power and might that they have inside contained. There's so much greatness that is inside the heart and the soul of every single one of us. So what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want? He wants you to know that when you will be crushed under the pressure of the struggles of life, you should know it will. If you fight back, it will never break even 1 ounce of your atzmos, of your essence. And then at those times, specifically, a person will be able to prove their inner strength and their allegiance to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then you will be blessed with an enormous amount of power and energy from such a thing. So, number one, don't despair. When a person sees hardships coming along them, do not despair. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to abandon you and leave you alone. On the other hand, He's our Techeles, He is our hope. And a righteous person never stops hoping in Hashem. And since that we never stop hoping in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we know that everything that we are going through, Yatzilenu Mikulam, He's going to save us from everything. We don't have any doubt about that at all. And we have to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sometimes is using us as a vehicle to reveal His glory in this world. Because when we go through difficulties in life, and other people know about them, don't think that people don't know about the sufferings that you have and the difficulties that you are going through. And when other people will see us getting stronger in our commitment to Hashem, they will see us believing deeper in our Kodesh Baruch Hu. They will see that we talk more about Hashem. Baruch Hashem is rolling off our lips more often than it was before. And there's a certain calmness and peacefulness and happiness that the person exudes, even though they're going through difficulties in life. What a lesson, what a role model you become to the rest of Klal Yisrael. And they begin to say to themselves, wow, if she could do it, I could do it also. And then maybe they'll come to you and they'll ask you, tell me, how did you get through this nisayon in your life? How did you walk around? I knew what was going on. How did you walk around functioning every single day regular? You didn't collapse into your bed, into your couch, lock the door and say, don't disturb. How did you do that? And then you begin to tell them. Tell them about your emunah. You tell them about why you understand challenges are our best. You tell them I never lost hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all these things. And then as Rav Hirsch writes over here, part of the challenge itself is that there's atzmius, there's essence, there's reality, there's true strength that you have inside of you. That it's just, it's unearthed, it's uncovered, it's unearthed, it has not been revealed yet. And the nisayon itself will never crush the atzmos, the essence of who you are. On the other hand, it will be the thing that pushes you down inside and pulls out the atzmos, pulls out the essence of who you truly are, and you'll become greater and you'll become loftier as a result of that which you are going through. So nisyonos, we don't ask for them. Nobody's walking around saying, please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, test me, I haven't had enough time to work on myself yet. No, we're not asking, but they will come, says Rav Hirsch. You can't escape them. It is unavoidable. That's the nature of this world. But the reason is it makes us great. And it teaches us and it teaches everybody else around us, look how that person went through a nisayon. There was thousands and thousands of hundreds of stories of the people who went through the nisyonos in life, and it ended up bringing them closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and not taking them further away. I think I've told them all in this shir, so I will save you from the repetition. Listen, I'd like to finish the Tehillim today. The next two psukim also go together, 22 and 23. Temaises Rasha Ra'a, the evil shall kill the lawless in the end. V'saynei tzadik yeshamu, and those who hate the righteous, they will be destroyed. Paida Hashem nefesh avadav, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeems the nefesh, the soul of His servants. V'lo ye'eshmai kalachesim bai, and He will not. And anyone who takes refuge in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they will not be desolate, they will not be abandoned over here. Says Rav Hirsch these final words of this long Tehillim. And he says like this, anyone who's going to persist in the ra and the lawless ways of the land, and they will do things that are horrible and they are terrible, so they are going to be struck with disaster that will cause them to perish. And those who hate the righteousness and the righteous man, they'll end up having a life of desolation. All of the enemies that ever rose up against Klal Yisrael, we find that they were destroyed to such an extent There was nothing left of them, and they lived a life of desolation. Look at these parshas that we have right now. Paro Harasha, the wicked king Paro, who raised a slave nation of 210 years. And he waged a war against our people, and he wanted to destroy us. And HaKadosh Baruch at the right time came, and he began bringing one makkah after the other, and he brought Paro down to his knees. Paro was given several chances to do tshuva, chances to turn away the makkahs that were there. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked deep into his heart, and he saw that Paro doesn't really want to give up. He doesn't really want to release the Jews and let them run into the wilderness. He really wants to be strong over and keep them under the pressure of Mitzrayim. He doesn't want to let them go free. That would be a tremendous admittance of defeat. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's akshes de Paroi, he hardened the heart of Paroi to give Paro the strength to be able to continue defying Hashem and defying the power of the Jewish people. At the end of the day, what happens? Makos Bechoros, this week's Parsha, the death of the firstborn. Ein bayis she'ein shameis. There wasn't a single house in all of Mitzrayim where there wasn't at least one, if not many, many, many firstborns that were killed. And Paro comes running in the middle of the night, as the song says, in his pajamas, looking and looking. Where's Aaron? Where's Moshe? Get them out of this country. The 10 plagues came and destroyed the whole land. There was no cattle left. The fields were destroyed. The locusts ate everything up. People had died. The firstborn, it was gone. The land was totally destroyed. And in his final moment of desperate desolation, finally he says, get out of here and go. And then Paro, in his craziness, he changes his mind. And he gets his chariot together, he harnesses the horse, and he says, I'll lead the way. And they chase after the Yidden into the Midbar by the sea. And there they are, the sea is there, and the Jewish people go through, and they say, we're going to come right after you. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu closes the waters on them, and they lose everything. And about the only person who survives the entire ordeal is Paro himself. The Midrash tells us that while Paro was in the water, and he realized the error of his ways, he was machni, he humbled himself, and he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem Elokim, you are the only one God in this world. I'm wrong. And the Yam Suf spit him out, and he ran away for his life. And the Midrash tells he ended up becoming the king of Nineveh, which is the story of Yoina Navi. And that's why the king of Nineveh, when he was told by Yoina to do tshuva, immediately he decreed on his whole nation, get off the throne, sit on the floor, put on the sackcloth, let's do tshuva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is angry with us. So how does the Rasha end up? The one who denies HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the one who fights against the tzaddikim, the one who's lawless in everything that he does. At the end of the day, you should know they will be destroyed, and they will live a life of total desolation. There's nothing left. Mitzrayim was finished at the end of the 10th Makkah. It was finished, and whoever was still alive, they were drowned in the sea. That, says the Pasuk, is what happens to the enemies of Hashem and the enemies of the righteous. However, all of the neshamas that dedicated themselves and their entire lives to serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to free them. He's going to release them. And it will be the fulfillment and execution of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will. What does Hashem want? Hashem wants us to be free. He wants to be able to serve Him. He wants to be able to understand what He wants from us and to be able to do the mitzvahs in a loving, dedicated, passionate way. So for anyone who has weathered the storms of life and they've remained faithful and true and hopeful to Hashem, not crushing their atzmais, their essence, but rather exemplifying and expressing the beauty that's inside of them, so they are going to be set free from the shackles and the chains of this world, and they'll be able to serve Hashem. For these tzaddikim, these righteous people, they belong to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Neither pain or death has any power really over them. Rather, a Gan Eden is going to blossom everywhere for those who put their trust in Hashem, which means you could be living under very difficult times. There could be hardships, calamities, struggles, tests, you name it, like Dovid HaMelech had in his life. But you could be standing in Gan Eden here in this world, the place of bliss, the place where a person connects with Hashem, the place where you walk together with the Ribbono Shel Olam. Even in this world, with all of the darkness and all the troubles that are there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees your faithfulness, He sees your dedication, He understands just how much it is that you are in love and in tune with His ratzon, with His will, and therefore He says, oh, you overcame the challenge, you overcame the nisayon. Guess what? I am now going to give you a Gan Eden here in this world. And because of the Gan Eden that you're going to have in this, that you can have in this world, a person realizes they are never alone, they are never abandoned, there is no desolation that the person is ever going to live. Now, just to go back one moment before we conclude, Rav Gamliel Rabinovich writes over here on that pasuk of Rabbi Rois Tzaddik, a righteous man will be confounded by many bad things, but Hashem's going to save him from everything. Shomer kol atzmaisav, Hashem will guard all of his limbs. Achas mein lo nishbara, nothing will be broken. He says a beautiful idea that I want to leave off with today because it ties everything up together. And he says the following: Hatzadik makir bekach, a righteous person recognizes. Now we might not be tzaddikim, but we are striving to reach a level where we can live a life of recognition, at least a little bit of where the righteous are living. And they recognize everything that is small or big. It all comes to a person with divine intervention directly from Hashem. There's no chance in a person's life. It's not coincidence, it is not chance. The smallest little thing that is happening in a person's life, it's coming from one source, and the source is Hashem. Therefore, every tsar, every pain, every anguish that the person has, they serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu even more, because they realize it's coming from Hashem. And he davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please Hashem, save me from my tzara. I recognize that everything that's happening in my life is coming from you, Hashem. And then the righteous man recognizes, I'm such a lowly person, I don't deserve miracles, Hashem. I daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, save me from this sorrow that I find myself in because of your midah, your trait of rachamav, of mercy. I don't deserve it on my own. Have mercy on me, Hashem. On the other hand, if you find a person who doesn't really serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everything happens to him, he says, oh, what a coincidence. Oh, you believe in Hashem? You believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching everything? That's a chance, a coincidence, just happened to be like that. The guy's getting pounded on his head by 1,000 coincidences in his life. It's not Hashem, it's a coincidence. If you're not an Oved Hashem, you don't serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you don't believe in these things, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can punch you in the face 1,000 times a day. He can tap you on your shoulder, keep tapping you on the shoulder. Look, I'm right here. No, it's a coincidence. I don't know, it's Hashem. What are you talking about? He doesn't think about Hashem being the overlooker of this world. This person believes in his warped mind. Whatever good I have, it's coming to me anyway. I deserve it. And if things don't go the way I intended, he's filled with complaints against Hashem. Now, just think about the crooked thinking over here. A person doesn't believe that what's happening in his life is hashgacha pratis. He believes that everything that's taking place, it's all chance. It's just coincidence. He doesn't believe that Hashem is the one that is running everything. And therefore, if I get brachas in my life, if things are going well for me, so then I'll say, well, of course, it's coming to me anyway. It's not Hashem didn't do that. I'm such a good person. I'm such a great person. I deserve all these things. Not because God made it happen that way. It's just, that's the way it works. So he doesn't believe in Hashem. But now listen to the person the way he thinks. But if something goes wrong and I don't get what I want, and I'm frustrated and disappointed, and I got nisyonis piling up around me, and I'm not happy with my situation in life, then suddenly he does believe in Hashem because he begins complaining, Hashem, how could you do this to me? Do you believe or you don't believe? If you believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then you recognize when the good is happening, it's all Hashem. And then you recognize when the bad is happening, it's also all Hashem. You don't complain, you try to figure out what's going on. If you don't believe, so then just like you don't believe that the good that you got is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you can't believe that the bad is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the mind of a human being, the Yetzirah that is ticking, that is chipping away at our amunah of our faith, plays mind games with us. And it tells you, when things are going well, you deserve it. It has nothing to do with Hashgacha Pratis. Even though that if you look at the story unraveling in front of your eyes, you will see how everything fits in like a puzzle to get me to this blessing over here. But when the thing that goes wrong in your life, you're not happy with, a person has to, again, if you believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then you recognize the good is from Hashem, and that which is going wrong, it's also from Hashem. Let me see how I can respond to the situation. But the foolish person over here makes the mistake that they deny HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but when something goes wrong, then they get angry with Hashem. That's not the way a person lives. The way to live is a person recognizes Hashgacha Pratis everywhere in their life. They recognize the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. It's all coming from Hashem. There is no coincidence. There are no tricks. There's no chance that's going on. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs my life. And therefore, when there's good, I humble myself and I say, thank you, Hashem, for all of the good that you have given me. I don't deserve anything. You, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are so kind and merciful, and you give everything. And when there are troubles, and there are calamities, and there are nisyonos that a person is going through, we say to ourselves, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I know you're sending this as a challenge. I'm not going to lose my hope in you. I'm going to buckle down and find the atzmius, the essence that I have inside of me. And I'm going to become an example to others that you could go through these situations in life, and you could still emerge a person of tremendous amunah, of tremendous faith. So Be'ez Hashem, as we continue to move along in the words of our Tehillim, Dovid HaMelech continues to teach us how to look at this world, how to understand why all the things that are going on around us are going on. And instead of crumbling under the pressure, on the other hand, we get more atzmus, we get more essence, more strength, more fortitude through everything. And in that way, Be'ez Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can say, you see, down there, America, 2021, 5781 on the calendar, when the American people are going berserk with everything. Look at my little Eved Hashem over there in California. Look how she is so careful to make sure that she sees the goodness and how everything is coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look how she doesn't despair. Look how she doesn't let herself get down. Look how she says, Hashem, I'm never going to lose my hope in you. I believe that everything that's happening is for a reason, and I have to learn a lesson. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that, it's the greatest schus that a person could have. And we need a lot of schusim for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for Klal Yisrael, for the entire universe right now. Be'ez Hashem, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu guard us and keep us safe, keep our families safe and healthy. And the Emir Hashem, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu see that there's a nation of Klal Yisrael that never gave up the Techeles, never gave up the hope after all of these thousands of years of the Gullus. And in that zechus, He'll bring us quickly, singing and dancing with great simcha and joy to Shalayim HaKadosh B'mheira B'yameinu. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you. Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Is there shir next week?
I anticipate that there will be shir, unless my wife tells me otherwise. So I'll let you know if there's a change. Shavua Tov.
No shir on Thursday, right?
No shir on Thursday and no shir on Wednesday night, whoever watches. But there will be a shir on Monday night, Be'ez Hashem.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
week. Okay, have a good week, everyone.
Shabbat tov.
Shavua tov. Bye-bye.
Shalom.